So we're going to be looking at the multiple answer style question. So here you can see two examples. Now, when it is a multiple answer question, what we need to be careful is to think, how many answers do we need to give? And the clue in these type of questions is a multiple answer. So we will have to say more than one reason or give more than one piece of evidence to support our answer. So by looking at this, so to answer this, we'd look at different ways that the characters act or behave. So it might be about the way they're feeling. So if a character's angry, they might stamp their feet, they might shout, they might go red in the face. It's where we start to look for clues, but where we can give more than one answer to more than one piece of evidence to support our answers. So I'm going to model an example to you, okay, so that you know how to do it. So I've got three very short pieces of text we're going to look at, and I'm going to model this to you. So what I want you to do is just pause the video and just read this extract. Okay, so here is going to be my question. So in the first extract, what two ways does the narrator show that they are relaxing? Okay, so I need to think, what does the question want me to do? Well, I know that it wants to know what two ways. We need to give two answers, and I can see this clearly indicated as 1 and 2. And I need to think about words that are linked or phrases linked to relaxing. So if I think when I'm relaxing, I'm very calm, I'm very collected, I might be lying down, I might be sleeping. One way or another, I'm very comfortable. My breathing's going to be slow, it's going to be controlled. I'm not going to be agitated, I'm not going to be fidgety, I'm not going to have lots of thoughts going around in my head. So those are all the things that I can think of when I'm relaxing. Now, when we're looking at this, we're talking about this person being on water, okay? So they've gone on an adventure, they've gone swimming, okay? They're in the water, they're clearly on a holiday, they're having a relaxing time. So I need to find two pieces of evidence in that text that tells me that they're relaxing. So without a second thought, I dived into the clear blue water, desperate to feel the coolness on my skin. We'd had the adventure of a lifetime on the safari, but I was ready for this after all the excitement of the morning. So we can tell up until this point in time, they've had a very busy, very arduous day, and they've been very excited about that experience of being in a safari. So now we want to wind down. So now I'm looking for evidence from the next bit that might suggest to me that they were relaxing. And here it says, floating on my back. Okay, so if I'm going to be swimming and I'm floating on my back, I'm not really putting much energy in. I'm not flapping my arms and legs. I'm not trying to control my body with my balance, my centre of gravity to keep myself floating, or to be swimming and putting in energy and exerting my strengths in my swimming. So I'm floating on my back. That's quite a relaxing thing to do. If anyone's ever been swimming and you're sitting there and you're lying there in the sea and you're just floating, it's quite relaxing because your body almost goes limp in some way. Obviously your centre of gravity and breathing keeps you floating, but you're not flapping your arms and your legs around to then be swimming. So my first answer here is going to be floating on my back. Now if I go back to my question, it said what two ways? We need to find another way. So let's go back to the text. Floating on my back, I let the refreshing water wash over me as I took deep breaths. Now, I already said at the beginning that when I associate myself with relaxing, my breathing's calm. I'm not anxious, I'm not angry, I'm not hyped up, I'm not excited. My breathing's at a normal level, and that shows me that I'm calm. And another way of being calm is to be relaxed. So I'm going to highlight that as took deep breaths. And that's going to be my second piece of evidence for the two ways that the narrator shows that they are relaxing. Okay, so I would like you to have a go at reading this. You have a copy of this in front of you. So what I want you to do is just quickly pause the video. I want you to read this short extract. Okay, so we're going to work through this one together. Okay, so in the second extract, how does the narrator show that they have a different belief to everybody else? Give 2 points. So I need to think, what is the question asking me? So can you think out loud? What is it that the question's asking me? What does it want me to show? Right, okay. So it's a case of how. So I'm looking for some evidence or some reason behind something. And it says, how does the narrator show? So you're right, I'm looking for some descriptive language that's going to tell me that someone has a different belief to somebody else. Now you're also right here that it's looking for evidence that is a different belief. Now, in my question, it also says here that I have to give 2 points. So I need to give 2 reasons as to why I think they have a different belief. So let's go through and look through the text. Everyone at school has been talking about it all year. They are convinced there's something in there, something strange. Now it says there, they are all convinced there's something strange in there. So I'm thinking, well, if they're talking about they, who must the other person be that we're trying to find in this extract? Now, if we go back to the question, it says narrator. Just have a think and say out loud, how do you know that this is written and this is narrated by somebody? What's the clue in the text? Right, okay, it's written in first person. So if it has I in there, we know that someone's reading this out loud. This is someone narrating this. So if we have I and they must be other people that's not the narrator. And it says here, how does the narrator show that they have a different belief to everyone else? Well, it says here, everyone at school has been talking about it. They are all convinced there's something in there. So if it's a case if it said we are all convinced, that would include the narrator. But it doesn't say we, it says they, which means that the narrator and these people are not combined, okay, to share this same opinion. So my first answer is going to be, the narrator says they are all convinced there's something in there. Okay, so that's one piece of evidence, because had it been the narrator as well, it would have said we, because the narrator would have been talking about themselves and everybody else at school, but they're not. So the pronoun they is a big clue there, but also identifying that narrator means that it's being spoken by someone, so it's first person. Now it says give 2 points. So do you think we can find another point that says that the narrator, so the I person in this story, has a different belief? Well, let's read on. It says, I will prove them wrong. I know it's empty and it has been for years. Okay. So you need to have to think, well, how else do we know that the narrator has a different belief? Because had the narrator believed them, the narrator would say, oh, well, I know they're right. So what's the clue in this part of the paragraph that tells them that he doesn't think that they're right? Okay, so it says here, I will prove them wrong. So that means that the narrator has a different opinion because he's going to prove them wrong, which means that he's got one opinion that's different to what everybody else believes. So the second part of my answer is going to be, the narrator says, I will prove them wrong. Okay, so well done if you've looked at that. It's important to notice that it said narrator in that question because we would have known the difference between the they that they're talking about and I. So when it's narrating, it's in first person. So well done if you spotted that. So you guys now going to have a go at doing one on your own, okay? So you've got this at home or at school in front of you. So you've got your section here for you to read and your questions that follow. Think about what the question's asking you. Highlight or underline the keywords in the question. They're going to help you identify your point in the text, okay? So pause the video and have a go. Okay, so if I look at the question, at the beginning of the third extract, how do you know that the narrator is terrified? So I'm looking here for the how, so I'm looking for evidence now. So I know I've got to find my answer in the text. And I know that we're talking about the narrator is terrified. So I'm looking for I pronouns or me pronouns. Okay, so we need to give 3 points. It says, if you follow me carefully, you'll be fine. The instructor sounded like he was talking to me from another world. So I've got the me there. Okay, so I know this sentence is about him. Now it says the instructor sounded like he was talking to me from another world. Now, if you're okay with something, your brain's in the here and now. You haven't got the hormones and the noises and the panic going around in your head. You're stable and you're calm. Now, this character's terrified, which means when you're terrified, all normal feelings and emotions go out of the window. And they think that this person's talking to them from another world, which means they're not concentrating. They're not listening to this instructor because their head is somewhere else. So that there tells me, where it says the instructor sounded like he was talking to me from another world, that would give a clue that they're terrified. Because if they weren't terrified, they'd be listening clearly to the instructions. So your first answer is, it sounded like the instructor was from another world. Now my question says give 3 points. We need to keep going and find a second one. It says my feet were glued to the tree. Okay, well I'm going to stop there then. Why would your feet be glued to the tree? Okay, so have we read on, we know they're on the zip wire. Okay, and a zip wire means you have to then come off the tree and you float and you drive through the forest on your zip wire, which means if your feet are glued to the tree, that means you don't want to let go. You don't want to go anywhere and you're not going to jump off and do that zip wire. So when you're usually glued to the spot, your body freezes, and your body usually freezes when you're about to do something you don't want to do, and that's when panic sets in. So that is another clue there that indicates that our narrator is terrified. So your second answer is going to be their feet were glued to the tree. Now the next bit there says, I couldn't move. Now that links to the gluing of the tree, but not only were their feet glued to the tree, but they also couldn't move. Now usually when you're terrified, you can't move. Like I said, your body freezes. So that's another clue. Okay, so our third answer would be they couldn't move. So you've got your point about not being able to listen to the instructor because obviously your head is not concentrating, you're somewhere else. Your feet are glued to the tree. So it clearly means that you don't want to go down the zip wire because you know if your feet are on the tree, you know you're safe. And they couldn't move, so you're frozen to the spot, and usually that's what terror does to you. So well done if you got those 3 answers and you highlighted all those key elements in your text and your questions. So your task that you're going to do today is you're going to have a go at answering these 3 sets of questions. Now, I have copied the parts of the book that you'll need, but I apologise, when I take the pictures of the book, it's at a funny angle. So hopefully you'll be able to see these ones clear enough, but you have a copy of these at home. Okay, you can have a copy of these off the screen, and I want you to have a go at completing these questions. It's important to remember you highlight your skills, you highlight the key words from the question, think about what the question's asking you, find the evidence in the text, but make sure you always go back and check the question when you think you've finished in case you haven't. Okay, so have a go at those questions and we will move on and look at a different skill tomorrow. Okay, good luck, year 5.